my gosh, your truck is so bumpy. We're gonna go off the side. Hi everybody, it's Robbie from Southern California, and today I wandered down to Gary's garden because he's been working down here today. Wow, look at you, you're in a tunnel.
Yeah, this is my tunnel that I built last year, and these are the Scarlet runner beans I planted last year, and they've come back from the roots and they're producing nice beans for us. So they've got a lot of flowers and they're taking off. But rather than spend time in this part of my garden, I'd like to talk about what I'm doing in my other garden with the high tunnel.
Okay, I'll follow you out there. Look at all the stuff around here.
Yeah, these are my edos, and they're doing well. My water chestnuts come back. They overwintered in that pond. They're doing really well. And this is my high green tunnel. So I've got a lot of things planted, and I've spent most of my time focusing on getting this set up for the year.
This is amazing. Let me step behind you because this, wow. I know you've been down here doing a lot of work. So let's go through what you've got. Let me step back a little bit. So let's go through what you've got planted here.
Okay, on either side here I've got a couple of emu bushes, Eramophilas. So this is a taller one, this will get about 6 feet. And this is a shorter one, it'll stay around this height, maybe a bit higher. I've got to get those in the ground, they're in the pots right now. I've got a few cannas that I've planted. I've got Canna edulis here. I've got a few more that I need to plant. Something else that I got this year are the Chayote Squash. So I got some white Chayote Squash, or chocos. So I'm pretty happy with that. They're a little different. So I've got those going. I've got strawberries. I've got those pretty much everywhere. I've got purslane pretty much everywhere. I've got a ton of purslane coming up all over the place this year. Got a tomato coming up there. Got some Malabar spinach. Is it purple or red? Red Malabar spinach.
Yeah, we have red Malabar spinach. I have a question. Did you plant the tomato or did it come up on its own?
No, that's a volunteer. The Malabar spinach is a volunteer, and the purslane's a volunteer.
Wow.
So that's a toad I had in my garden, and I just moved it out here. My fig leaf gourd, these are from last year, so they're coming back.
Oh, that's something a lot of people won't understand. This is a squash you don't replant. The roots stay alive, right? Explain that.
The roots stay alive. It's a perennial squash, and it turns into a real monster. It's set fruit already. I've got some in my main garden that are bigger than this, but it's already starting to set fruit. I'll get some more of that going this year. This year I want to really focus on foodscaping. So I'm interplanting a lot of ornamentals in with my food plants. So I've planted some manzanilla. So I've got a couple of those. They'll vine up over. The hummingbirds have come in and I see them feeding on these all the time. So that'll bring in the pollinators as well. I've brought some of these totes in from my main garden. Got Scarlet runner beans from last year that are coming up. I've got some sweet potatoes that I'm going to vine up over the top here. I've also got some ice plant. And then on this side I've got potato mint. That's a ground cover, so that'll fill in here. And I've got more red Malabar spinach, manzanilla. I've also planted grapes along here too. I've got a few different varieties of grapes. And this is another one. I can't think what this one is, but it's related to manzanilla. And then I've got grapes along this side. I had to fence my garden off I had it fenced off for deer, and then that solved one problem, and then the rabbits came in and they started eating my grapes down to ground. So I had to fence it off to protect it from the rabbits. So now this area is rabbit proof too. So my main garden's rabbit proof and this area is rabbit proof.
So nothing can get into your main garden over there as far as rabbits?
Nothing can get into there.
And no rabbits get in?
Rabbits can get into here anymore.
So I'm just going to pan over here for a minute. I see you've got buckets and totes set up. And then I think we're going to get into another subject real quick. Because I can see you're still working and you're getting ready to start planting more and more squash, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I've got more squash to plant in there. And this is the ladder garden, the elevated planter I made out of a ladder. And I've got some totes set up on it. And I've also got some buckets. So with the totes, I sat it straight on the ladder. I added extra concrete blocks in the center for support. And on this side, I added a couple of planks. I had some old deck material that I put on, some 2x6s, and that allows me to sit buckets on it. So I wanted something where I could sit buckets as well as use the totes. And of course, the ladder bowed in the center. When I first set it up, I pushed down and I could see it needed extra support, so I added the concrete blocks in the center.
You've got a whole lot going on in here right now.
Yeah, I've got a lot going on
here.
You got
the ladder garden going. This is your old ladder because you got a new one.
Yeah.
And then you've got the tunnel. And what do you call this?
My green tunnel.
Your green tunnel. You know what? Let's walk through the tunnel and kind of go over how you made it. Because now you're done with it, correct?
Yeah, now I'm done with it.
So the tunnel is done. Now, what are the poles here? I'm just curious. These poles that are here.
These poles, I put these in. I put some stakes in with some pipe around it, so when I bring the hose out, the hose doesn't get tangled. I'm going to fix this up better like I'm working on now. The concrete blocks that I'm setting up, the hose will just glide right around it. So I can get rid of this. I'll build something similar for my aeromophilus or my emu bushes out of these blocks, set that around there, and I can get rid of these. So these will be out of the way, and it'll look something like that when I'm done.
That's what I was going to say. That looks really nice. I haven't seen that at all. That's what you've been working on the past couple days, right? So these are new?
These are new. Every time I pour some concrete, like I haven't finished it, I might do a bag or two at a time. So it's not a lot of work at once. You just slowly work away at it, and that's using the plastic bag technique that I started.
So now you've got all this that you built, and you're done with this.
I'm done with this. This end I had to put concrete blocks in the ground and use pipe, but this is 1/2-inch rebar that I bent into a hoop, and this is concrete remesh that I attached to the rebar. So the rebar gives it structural support like ribs, because the remesh by itself isn't that strong, but this makes it very sturdy. It will swing in the wind, and I think it'll do really well once I get the squash growing on it. It should be able to support a lot of weight, and if it does bow down a little bit, it springs back up. So the rebar has a lot of spring to it, where the remesh doesn't. The remesh will bow to shape. So I've got that set up. Down the other end here, the soil here is really shallow, so the bedrock on this end is just below the surface, but down this end, as I move further down here, I've got deeper soil, so I could use T-posts to anchor the rebar into the ground. So hammered in T-posts this end, concrete blocks down the other end. So this made it a lot easier. The T-posts are a lot faster and a lot less work. So
that's it. It's that easy. Well, you tied it with wire. What kind of wire did you use to tie it with?
Scrap electrical wire.
Just scrap wire.
Yeah, so this is white wire. It's got white plastic on it. I started this end, and as I moved along I realized the black blends in. So from a distance you can't see the black wire, but you can see the white wire. And the whole idea of having something like this, yes, it's rusty, but it blends into the background, and I'd rather see the plants than the structure. So if I used cattle panels, you would always see the structure. But by using the remesh, from a distance, you just look straight through it. So your eyes travel to whatever's on the other side. It doesn't catch on the remesh.
Once this starts to grow, you may not see through it at all, though.
No, probably not. Once I've got grapes spaced a few feet apart, like maybe 10 feet apart, and that'll take a long time for them to grow up. In the meantime, I can grow other things.
Wow. Now you're working on a full video on this?
I'm working on a full video on this. I've got some of it together, but it's right now I'm working frantically to get everything else done so that I can actually grow things. But I'm growing a lot of things in totes, and I've got different coloured totes. These are kind of colours that I like because they blend in. I'm not growing a lot in the ground because the goal right now is to grow things without having to deal with the roots from the trees. So I'm close to the Brazilian pepper trees, and the whole ground under here is covered in roots, feeder roots.
Do you know how long this tunnel is from the start to where you go all the way down to the gate?
Yeah.
And where I'm standing at the opening?
Each section is 5 feet.
5 feet. So
this is 40 foot long.
Okay, so each section from here to the next section will be 5 feet.
Yeah. And the rebar is 20-foot lengths of rebar. And the remesh, I buy rolls of remesh and cut it to length. So 20 foot is pretty much the length, the maximum length that I can get. I mean, I don't know if they sell it in longer, but at your Lowe's or your Home Depots, they carry the 20-foot lengths. And it's not easy to get home, but I've got a rig on the back of my truck that I'm able to bring 20-foot lengths home now.
I know, we had a neighbor come over and wanted to know what was on the back. He probably thought it was one of those, I don't know what they call those lungers.
Like a
catapult. He probably thought
he thought it was a trebuchet. Yeah.
What the heck do you have on your truck? I think it's funny when I see you driving down the street with it. That is funny.
Yeah.
Because I was in my own car and you were somewhere else, and I saw you driving, and you really stand out on the street with it.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that it was obvious because I want it to be safe.
Well, that's a good way of carrying home, what'd you say, 20-foot rebar?
20-foot rebar.
You carry it home in 20-foot lengths, or you cut it there?
I just slide it into that
contraption you made.
Contraption I've got, and it's stable and it's safe. And by fencing this area off, I'm able to take the cages off a lot of my plants. So last year the rabbits started to attack my asparagus because of the drought. They didn't touch it before last year. Then they took a liking to it because there was nothing else for them to eat. So now I've got everything open, I can move through and I can water. I don't want to have to deal with little cages around everything.
Wow, this is really nice. No rabbits. Okay, well and then besides the asparagus, you've got what down here? Oh, that's right, you got all the berries growing.
Yeah, I've got all my berries down here, and I've got my dragon fruit along the wall. My dragon fruit is really becoming a hedge now. So it's gone up to the top of my building, and it's really thickening up and filling out. I wish it was another species, because this one, this is the white fruited one, and it needs to be hand pollinated. So the red one doesn't. So unfortunately I got the white one first before I got access to the red ones. So, but that's going to be nice once it's filled out. It should be a solid green hedge.
Well, I don't think there's a problem with you hand pollinating. You've been hand pollinating.
Yeah, but now it's all the way to the top of the building. So when
And you don't want to trim it, huh?
I don't want to play around with, I don't want to trim it, I don't want to play around with ladders. But it's interesting that the roots have wrapped around these metal poles. And you would think that that would be too hot for it, but they seem to do really fine here. So they went all the way to the top, they wrapped their roots around, their aerial roots.
Wow. We could take a quick walk through your garden.
Yeah, people want to see the passion fruit.
Oh, okay. Let's... I'm not going that way. I'll go that way. I don't think I can get through.
Okay, the other way is not much better.
Oh. No, this is better. I can get through this. Ooh, it's dangerous through here. Okay, I'm trying to get to you. Let me back up.
I got my passion fruit from Baker Creek last year, and they send out 2 plants. When you buy live plants from them, they send out 2 plants. I'm assuming that's just in case one of them doesn't make it. Well, both of my passion fruits made it, and I'm going to have more passion fruit than I know what to do with. I'm going to eat it. I really like passion fruit, but this has just taken off and it's really prolific. I've got flowers everywhere, and I suspect it's the horsefly-like carpenter bee that showed up last year, because they come in here and they're a buzz pollinator and they just hang around in my garden pretty much all day. It's overcast now, but they're around a lot. That's a fresher flower there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they're coming into all my squash now, and I don't remember seeing them last year in there.
So there's a flower there, and it's going to continue to flower along here. So I've got flowers and I've got fruit. I've got one that's starting to get a purple tinge to it. There's probably more that are starting to turn purple.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there's more scattered through the top there.
How are you going to get all those? They're going to the top.
When they're ripe, they fall. That's how you know they're ripe. So you pick them off the ground. You don't pick passion fruit off the tree, you wait until they fall and you pick them off the ground. And that's a good thing about passion fruit. So this variety was called Purple Possum. I'm assuming it may have come from Australia. I'm not sure that originally. But yeah, it's taken off all over. So this is just 2 plants. I've also got 2 gack fruit plants in here. It's difficult to see the difference. The leaf is almost identical. So let's see. I'm assuming because of the leaf colour, this might be the gack fruit. Oh, the stem is also different. And then on the other side, because the passion fruit produces so much shade, I'm going to be able to plant a lot of more shade-loving plants in here. So I planted some blueberries. I've got these in tubs. So my blueberries are going to have plenty of shade, and there's a few other things that I'm going to grow on this side now because I've got permanent shade. So I've got some ginger and turmeric in here, and that's going to be shaded. They don't like sun all day long, so they'll get morning shade, morning sun, afternoon shade.
Wow. I can't believe all this. It's just going to get thicker and thicker, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I have a question. That's where the hummingbird nested and raised her babies, and you watch them eventually fly away. She's obviously nesting somewhere because she's screaming. She didn't come back to this nest.
She didn't come back here, and she didn't nest in a banana.
Then she might be in your passion fruit.
She might be in the passion fruit. There is another nest up here. I'm not sure if it was a house finch nest, but when I was working up, I had the ladder up there. Yeah, there's definitely a nest up there. It may be some sort of warbler or a small bird. I'm suspecting house finch.
Well, she's screaming. So usually when she's screaming, she's got something somewhere.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're difficult to spot. Once you know where they are, it's easy to see them, but they could be anywhere in here.
Well, it's probably better she didn't go back there because well, I mean, it was stable now, but wow. Well, wow. And then you've got it going on both sides, the whole thing of
Right.
passion fruit.
Both sides, yep. I've got
All the way up.
a passion on either side here. I've got a passion fruit in that direction, and the gack fruit next to them too. So I've got 2 gack fruit plants and 2 passion fruit plants.
Absolutely gorgeous. And then, of course, you've got your field of everything else growing, tree collards. This is lemon verbena. What is this? A nectarine tree?
A nectarine tree, yep.
I think the deer ate my nectarine.
Yeah, it hasn't flowered yet, but what I might do this year, I'll shape it. When it loses its leaves, I might just let it grow like that and then shape it.
Wow. This is beautiful. I think we should come back and do a full garden tour on the inside. You know, another day.
Yeah.
This was good. Off and on, it's been like raining, misty.
Yeah, I just thought there's been a lot of comments about the passion fruit, and I thought I may as well cover that as well. Oh yeah, there's a fruit up here that I've been keeping my eye on. I don't know if you can see that, but it's starting to go purple. That's the only fruit that was produced last year. So all the fruit that you can see right now was produced this year. So they produced 1 fruit last year and I've been waiting for it. It's kind of on the small side because it came up over winter, but it's starting to get purple. And what I have to do is keep an eye on the ground to make sure that I get it first. I don't know if anything here will eat it, but I'm looking forward to that.
Could you put tulle around it so if it let loose, it would fall into the tulle?
Yeah, you could do
Of course,
that.
I don't know how you would tulle the whole bush, but just to get your first fruit, like loosely, very loosely wrap tulle around it.
Yeah, I could do that.
Then nothing will get it. And not to confuse anybody with pepino.
Yeah,
Hanging among the,
all these leaves
passion
here,
fruit.
these are pepinos, and my pepinos are vining up to about that height. Actually, the pepinos are tucked away in there too. So the pepino is a rambling vining plant related to tomatoes, and I trellis it up if I can, because if it grows along the ground, things really like to eat it.
Wow, this is gorgeous.
Okay.
Well, I'll let you get back to work because I know you're working down here to try to get everything done, or not work, a lot done today before you have to do other things. So I guess that's it. Your ponds look beautiful. And even in the no sun shade, look at that, it's still dripping.
Yeah, I've got to get in here and clean up a lot of things still. So anyhow, I guess that's pretty much done for today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to subscribe to our channel, feel free to subscribe to our channel. We've got a lot of different things going on, and obviously my garden's a little different to Robbie's, but we both have our own gardens and our own ideas of how to do things. Some of the things that she does, obviously, I've borrowed from her, like the totes. Anyhow, with that, thanks for watching, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye.
Gary's going to drive me up the hill. I don't think I've ever been in the car going up. Been in the car going down. Oh my gosh.
This is the easy part.
And there's his bees we're going to drive by. That's where that's where the carpenter bees live, and that's where his honeybees are. Okay.
Pretty quiet today.
And there's the contraption on his truck. You know what, Gary? I'll walk from here.
Okay.
Say goodbye again.
Bye.